Remember, we met a few times. Active political days,
yes,
street fighting
yes,
days.
yes.
And I was telling him that you won't remember, but there was a day, early morning flight in Karachi, and I was stuck without a seat. And you came in about 10 minutes before the flight, and I walked up to you and requested you, and I said, I'm a journalist from India. And you spoke to somebody, I think station manager or somebody, and I think I got the lastest seat on the flight.
Good.
So you've done me a good turn. This is another good turn you're doing me.
No, it's
finding
my
time.
pleasure. I keep reading your magazine.
In fact, I've just made arrangements so that you get it regularly, and also
We get it through our
Haji.
High Commissioner.
Also our business magazine, which is Business Today, which has now become very successful because now I think the way times are changing.
Incidentally, what is your circulation?
1.2 million. We also produce
1.2 million is sales,
sales, yes.
but it will be read by many
Readership
other.
is 2.5 crores according to UNESCO figures.
That's 25 million.
So we also produce some classical music. We have a separate division called Music Today.
Oh, really?
So I hope you
Thank you.
find time to listen to some.
Thank you.
This is
It will be soothing to the nerves.
This is a common heritage of the subcontinent, particularly since you come from that part of the subcontinent. There is a certain composition here which is called Music of the Deserts. What we have done is we've taken Shakher, who's a great tabla maestro, and he has collected folk music and classical music and made a composition. So I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you very much for this gift. How long are you going to be here in Pakistan?
I'm here till Sunday or Monday, I think. Now that I've come, I'll spend a few more days. I believe you called a group of editors for breakfast in Delhi.
I don't know. I think our High Commissioner was organizing.
So my publisher
program.
and editor is actually going to be there, Arul Puri.
I look forward to seeing you.
We are looking forward to having you in India.
My first visit to India.
I see you've never come in any other capacity before.
Is India Today?
Haji.
Languages of India?
Languages of India. In English we sell 4 lakh copies. In Hindi we sell about 3 lakh copies. Then we publish in 3 southern languages, Tamil, Telugu and Malayalam.
So your coverage is the entire
country. And this year is our 20th year of publication. So we are hoping to add 3 more languages, Kannada, Marathi and Bengali. Then I think we could say we have the country covered.
I believe India has many official languages.
Sir, I wish I was carrying an Indian currency note just now. I left in the room. An Indian currency note mentions the figure 100 rupees in 16 languages.
So those are your national languages?
Official languages.
Official.
And for each one of the official language, there are 10 other groups campaigning or agitating to get their language official status. So we are a Tower of Babel to say.
We don't have that problem here. Huh? We have English and Urdu, and no other
Nothing else as official language status.
linguistic group is really campaigning for national status. Occasionally we have in the assembly to do so. But very few, only once or twice in a year does this happen. But normally they don't.
But is much English spoken in your National Assembly?
English is spoken, I think, about 1/4.
I have attended some sessions and I have to say that it's about as lively as Indian Parliament.
Oh, it's very lively.
Sometimes a little
And
bit
people
more.
get worried about that. And I tell them, I said, this is part of the
Part of it.
din of democracy. It's the din of democracy.
Yeah, I cut my reporting teeth covering Punjab and Haryana and Chandigarh assemblies. And those 2 assemblies are the most riotous assemblies in India. Haryana in particular, where the tradition of defection started. So I find that those are the liveliest ever, but I think yours is quite lively as well. Ours sometimes gets lively, otherwise a lot of our parliamentarians are getting old now. So they are not.
We had Mr. Gujaral here
Right.
2 days ago. And editor of
Chakravarti,
Mainstream.
Nikhil Chakravarti
Yes.
and Govind Talwalkar was here also.
One of Punjab is his Garai. He belongs to the same area.
Oh, I see.
You don't know much Punjabi.
I am a Punjabi.
You are a Punjabi. So Garai, you understand Garai. The Governor Punjab is from Jhelum,
I see.
and so is Mr. Gujral.
This is a very creative and artistic family. He's a great painter and sculptor. Our family is involved in various.
Are they younger too?
He's younger too, in the Gujarat. He is very multi-talented. He has, for example, designed the Belgian embassy in Delhi.
Who is an architect also?
He does architecture on the side, as a creative pursuit. Basically, he's a painter, one of the most expensive painters in India. He has done some.
Does he paint portraits or form that is very popular in India?
Very popular. In fact, I don't know how much. Is our brand name. We have also set up an art gallery in Delhi called Art Today, which has now become Delhi's most sort of hip art gallery. You cannot place the facade to how it used to be, then set up an art gallery inside it.
So many things.
But if you look at Herald and Newsline, they are quite creative.
They are, but they're not into this kind of activity like getting music composed and put together and things like that. Although they have sections dealing with art forms, with culture and fashion and so
That's
on.
right. Well, we believe
Both Newsline and Herald have come up well.
We believe we are in the business of media, so these are sort of natural extensions. But as
I've seen your. Don't you advertise even on the Star TV?
sometimes for
Sometimes
Business Today.
I've seen.
For Business Today, on India Business Today.
Business Today, yes.
But we also have a TV unit called TV Today, and we've had a regular weekly program called News Track, which earlier used to come out as video cassette, but now goes on Doordarshan, one of the channels. The Doordarshan itself in major cities has 4 channels. And, then there
That's is it through satellite or is it through the local?
it is terrestrial. So the one is a national channel, then there's a regional channel, then there's a metro channel which each city has, and then there is a what is called as channel 2, which is more for entertainment. I was in fact watching in my room just now. That's for
ZTV, is it?
ZTV has become very popular. No,
Satellite.
this one is Doordarshan's international channel. ZTV is separate. ZTV is a private company.
Oh, but Doordarshan, does it have a...
Is
it on the satellite?
Yes.
It's called DDI. DD
On the big
International.
satellite, he's staying in Marriott, and they have this satellite for 75 channels or something. So they catch it.
It's not on that BBC Star
No,
TV.
it's not that. That is ZTV. ZTV is a private company. It's in fact publicly quoted. They came out with a share issue. They are publicly quoted. Their share has shot up like crazy. The 10 rupee share is selling for 400 rupees.
They make so much money?
And it's a very clever way of doing business. This man had made a lot of money, mainly exporting rice, basmati. So when he came into this business, people said, "Chawal wala hai, isko kya pata hai?" But the fellow actually knew his fundamentals, so he's producing programs at very, very low cost. And he's got this channel on Star. At the same time, he knows his audience very well, so he realizes that there's no point spending too much money to produce high quality, so he's relying on Indian cinema or cinema related programs or just simple entertainment. Just say in the US they have this program Price is Right, you may have seen it. All the American middle class housewives go crazy over it. People have to come and guess the price of something, and if they guess it right they get it free. So he has started that in Hindi. It's called Tol Mol Ke Bol. He's also developed a very good sort of lingua franca. So his Hindi is not Doordarshan's Hindi. His Hindi is Bosnia में चलने वाले conflict के resolution के chances अभी नजर नहीं आ रहे हैं. So
On ZTV, even when that lady reads the news, it's a lot of other words from English.
right. That's what I'm saying. In fact, I'm quoting chapter and verse from how she speaks. So he's developed a new language. So he's getting a certain audience that other people haven't got. And he's getting advertising. What he does is he set up a holding company in Hong Kong, in which Murdoch has 51% share, 49% share. So Z Telefilms in India is a software producing company, 100% export oriented unit. Whatever they produce is exported to this company in Hong Kong, where Murdoch is putting all the money. So Z Telefilms income is all it's for profits. So that's how it works. But all of us thought he will fail. And all of us were wrong.
Clever businessman.
That's right. He's a real bunny.
The other day I saw this survey of French liking for different programs. Watch.
Right.
And that has now become the most popular program in France.
It's very popular in India also because it's on Star.
Also
I'm
in
sure it's
Pakistan it
popular.
comes in,
Yes.
well, through the Star.
That's right.
That's not shown on Doordarshan. That's
No,
shown
that's on
the
Star.
Star TV.
Star is no, but Star is not getting retirement. Only is getting retirement.
Anyway, we can begin.
हाँ जी, okay, pleasure. बताया जी, so how important is a trip to India? It's the first time you're going to India, but in policy terms or in terms of.
Well, I'm really looking forward to my visit to India to attend the 8th SARC conference, which I believe is going to be the decade of SARC's life. We're really looking at it as a SARC meeting, and I'm going there for that purpose. I think any contact between India and Pakistan is useful. But apart from that, some people have been talking about the importance of this bilateral discussions on issues of SARC. But informally, of course, any issue can be discussed. Minister during her visit to, I don't know whether I'll get that opportunity or not, but I am looking forward to this visit to India.
That it's good to have contact between people even at personal level. Isn't it a little bit sad that despite the fact that we are such close neighbors, share so many languages, so much, our leaders don't meet that often? I mean, you've been in public life for almost 25 years now, 22 years now. We've had people who've been public or at a multilateral forum for us to exchange those visits. Isn't it?
This really reflects unfortunate on account of as a result of that, which we consider the core issue between India and Pakistan. Our relations have been tense. The level of tensions has sometimes gone up and down, more or less in line with the conditions prevailing in Kashmir. And I think this lack of contact at the people-to-people level and government-to-government level is primarily the victim of tension that arises out of Kashmir.
How do you characterize the state of India-Pakistan relations now, or the tension over Kashmir? Would you say it's the worst ever? Since you went to public life?
I would just say that the situation in Kashmir has never been so bad. The level of atrocities there, the brutalization of the people, the manner in which more than 500,000 troops and paramilitary forces are being used against the population. And mind you, that anywhere in the world, ever. And this kind of brutalization of the people naturally affects sentiment in Pakistan. It also affects sentiment all over the world. That is why human rights organizations are talking about it. It also, I think, affects sentiment in India. There are many human rights organizations in India which are talking about it. In Pakistan particularly, people react, government leaders react to what happens in Kashmir for several reasons. Of course, there is the legal question, there is the question of United Nations. Apart from that, on the human level, also, we have a very large Kashmiri population. Kashmiri Muslims are being subjected. That affects sentiment in Pakistan, not only amongst Kashmiris, but amongst. It is this kind of from that point of view, the situation today is pretty bad. It's bad. Urging the Indian government, international forum, to and to remove TADA. Tensions are eased and we move towards.
Talked about UN resolutions a few times. I mean, as an Indian, I'd be a little surprised at the exclusion of Shimla agreement from that. Is that something that's not relevant now?
No, Pakistan has never said no to the Shimla agreement. We feel that the Shimla agreement does furnish a vehicle of between India and Pakistan. But this matter does not exclude the other. The Shimla agreement does not exclude the United Nations Security Council resolution, any other route for a peaceful resolution to this problem.
Do you think that was the late Mr. Bhutto's understanding when he signed the agreement?
Yes, and we don't agree with what Mr. Shakher has been quoting. He didn't mention it to me, but I think he has been writing about it.
Well, then how come this question of UN resolutions was not raised for almost 2 decades?
It has been raised from time to time.
Not from Shimla agreement until the re-emergence of trouble in Kashmir.
On the UN agenda.
Right.
It's something which has not been removed and which has to be implemented. It needed to be implemented. Yeah. And naturally, when the people of Kashmir, when they rise up against a government which they feel is brutal, as a result of this political struggle of the people, military forces are inducted in a large way, then obviously others as well, Pakistan and India are countries which have to be of our. We must look at the benefits. I'll talk about that later maybe, but I think
the level of tension at this moment much lower than it was say 6 months ago or a year ago.
We don't see that. We think that troops are increasing. Troops are over new units of players going massively into Doda district. Every year, in fact,
we do
just ahead,
yes,
that each year we see this very odd phenomenon of Indian men snuffing out. We see this indigenous movement expanding and increasing in intensity, because it naturally is connected to the level of force and brutality they do, the worse the situation gets. And we are very concerned about this, both from the human rights point of view as well as from the point of view of good relations between the two neighbors.
I sometimes get the feeling, in fact most of us do, but basically it's true that we are on the Indian side, that in Pakistan there is a phenomenon of falling victims to their own propaganda. I mean, no international agency, think tank, anybody puts the size of Indian armed forces at more than 1.2 million people, and that would include all the washermen and priests and ambulance people and bearers. Is it realistic to believe that half of them are sitting in Kashmir Valley?
We are, when we talk of, and this number we have
I think somebody has got his arithmetic wrong, because I think we have gone and checked back on that number several times and simply doesn't add up to it. I think you have to use it. You have to multiply the number by some numeral to get there. It's not possible to private that number.
Well, all right,
as free press.
you might feel that way, but this might be your assessment. But we also have information is God help us. We've seen this build up has caused further heightening of tension. Beyond that, it becomes counterproductive. And if you look at the rally,
A reaction to the proposals that sometimes look like speculation, sometimes look like policy of holding an election in Kashmir this summer.
I think elections in Kashmir, the political parties, of those leaders like Farooq Abdullah, etc., who have to the Indian government or Indian create tensions.
What about TADA and these laws? I mean, TADA is something that exists all over India. The elections are held all over India. The second question is that don't you see a certain degree of, I mean, all of us agree with you in the Indian media. We've made the most noise about the state of human rights in Kashmir. Right? And we believe that that has made a difference. I mean, the fact that most leaders of the Kashmiri groups are free now, the fact that they can come to Delhi, hold press conferences, even visit Pakistan High Commission on Pakistan Day, doesn't that indicate a change?
Well, I don't think they were allowed to meet your honored guest, Mr. Raf Sanjan. Only Farooq Abdullah was. Should they be obliged to ask the government in a free society under the kind of constitution that India?
They don't need to ask anyone to travel to Delhi or anywhere.
No, to ask to meet people. We feel it's important that.
I mean, I don't think anybody had to ask to come to Pakistani High Commission. People can come freely to Pakistan High Commission, get photographed. Doesn't that indicate a change?
I think they came to Pakistan High Commission on the occasion of Pakistan.
Yes.
Organizations. Well, I feel that
Impact
some reports have appeared, like for instance, there have been reports at the international the issues at where basics are concerned. There is no let-up. In fact, there the Indian repressive machinery continues. Custodial deaths, picking up of all young men without any. Cosmetically, yes, we've seen some of these things. All this, I also, in the past, they were resolved. And even though India and Pakistan, unfortunately, had tensions after that, yet that irritant between the two countries. And if you recall, similarly, the question of the border demarcation on the run of Kutch, in which we went to war, even that has not come. The issue that
but did
remains.
India repudiate that agreement after 71 war? The Kutch agreement?
No. India, to the best of my knowledge, it has not been repealed. It has remained where they were demarcated.
I think the point there is nobody knows.
All right.
Kutch being the way it is.
It's not a major issue. It's not an issue. It's not being
issue,
discussed. It's
yeah.
not being. It's not a source of tension
Right.
anymore. And today, our perception in Pakistan, and I want to be very clear on this, is our perception is that the only problem that is bedeviling relations between our two countries, that is standing in the way of normalization of relations, of opening up of trade, of business opportunities, even of reduction in our defense spending on both sides, is Kashmir. The benefits would go to almost 1 billion people between India and Pakistan. I think we are near to 1 billion, and we are really going to help the vast majority of this 1 billion people, which is almost 1/6 of humanity. Most of our people in both the countries are living below the poverty line. We need to transfer resources from excessive spending on defense. As a smaller neighbor of India, as a country which is much smaller in size and in resources and in military man peace between our two countries. A peaceful resolution of the Kashmir question is sought and found, we would benefit 1 billion people. We would benefit this whole region, the SAARC region, and we would both countries together be.
I mean, why can't some of this start anyway? I mean, there are two different views. One view is that Kashmir is a core issue, unless that is settled, nothing else can move. But the other view is that why try to cross the tallest hurdle first? I mean, why not more trade? Why not more people-to-people contact? Why not create conditions where perhaps public opinion in the two countries would be more conducive to a solution in Kashmir? I mean, why hold everything else hostage to Kashmir?
Because of the historical legacy of the last 50 years, because of the fact that we have tried time and time again. Many a time there were efforts made on so-called confidence building measures, but they came to naught. We have come to the conclusion that between India and Pakistan, we cannot skirt the core issue. Skirting or attempts to skirt the core issue do not get us anywhere. Only since 1990, we've had 7 rounds of secretaries level talks, and they have led to nowhere. What we want is meaningful dialogue with India, and we are happy to not only seek it, but it is meaningful. But each time in these 7 secretaries level talks, we found that that's just for the sake of form, maybe to show to the world, maybe to tide over some temporary problem at the UNGA or at the UNHCR. But then it leads to nowhere, and that in itself is not a good thing, because it creates disillusionment in our people and in our governments. And that is why we feel that it might be a good idea to have even third-party mediation, because it might be a movement forward. But military solution is no solution. It will never be a solution.
It's a related solution.
Even the even a superpower like the Soviet Empire found that military solutions, problems similar to the one we have in Kashmir, are not, in this case also, in the case of Kashmir, we feel that there's got to be a realization in India that a peaceful solution has to be found. It's only when that realization sets in that we can expect a movement forward. And that is what we are all the time seeking. We feel that between India and Pakistan, military solutions.
From 1990 onwards, but 2 or 3 rounds of talks, or 2.5 rounds of talks before that between Mrs. Bhutto in her previous incumbency and Rajiv Gandhi had more. So perhaps if contact is at a higher level and there is a certain positive chemistry, things can still be achieved, because Kashmir issue wasn't solved in 1988 as well.
Yes, Kashmir. There hasn't been any progress since then either. But we feel that this realization that a peaceful solution is possible and should be sought is the basic factor that has to be brought into the system. High-level contacts, yes, perhaps they could play a role, and that is why our Prime Minister in Washington talked about my visit as maybe a step forward, even using that SAARC forum, which is really which really excludes bilateral problems.
Yes, but 1988 was also SARC meeting.
Yes,
which
so
led to
informally one could talk about these things. And as I said, I don't know whether that opportunity will come now, but if it does come, we'll be very happy to talk about those.
Why are you so skeptical? Obviously, the
No, I'm not skeptical. I'm neither skeptical nor am I very optimistic. But I think that if it comes by, or if we can take advantage of this meeting.
The point I'm making is it's much more of an issue. It impacts much more on domestic politics than in India.
The Indian scene and the international scene for a long time, and I'm sure he has the wisdom